viewers and listeners. On behalf of Rosefield Energy Tech Private Limited, I would like to announce our first series of The Other Side in Conversation With, where you will know about life journey of the great business leaders from the energy sector. We have conducted various events, webinars, training workshops to help you enhancing your knowledge and technical skills. However, we sincerely feel that if you want to achieve greater heights in your professional and personal life, you need to build a very strong character. So what is a better way than to listen to these business leaders talking about their life journey, who have followed strong values in their life and demonstrated great leadership qualities. So these conversations are built not around business strategies or goals or objectives of their organization, but more to know about the life journey which they have led so far successfully and which makes them hugely successful. We firmly believe that such inspirations will help you achieve a success in your life, make a difference, not to just your life, but also lives of other people, create a strong community, build a nation, and hence better world to live in. I hope you will find these conversations highly valuable. So welcome to our first season of The Other Side in Conversation With. Today, I'm privileged to welcome senior leader from the industry, Mr. Achal Jatia. Welcome, Mr. Jatia.
Thanks, Shailendra. So nice to be here, and actually honored that you found me for this podcast. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Achal Jatia is an executive chairman of Hardcastle Petrofer Pvt Ltd. Hardcastle Petrofer is involved in the manufacturing of specialty oils and chemicals for metal processing industry. Mr. Jatia has done his Bachelor in Business Administration from the University of Southern California and then completed Owner President Manager program from Harvard Business School. So quite interesting profile, Mr. Jatia. And just wondering, is that what made you getting into the specialty lubricants or industrial lubricants field?
So actually, sort of a legacy that I acquired by the grace of God. Our family was involved in these oils and chemicals through our listed entity called Hardcastle and Ward, and they had some tie-up with a US company for getting the technology. This is like way back in the 70s and 80s. And eventually, basically, we had a tie-up then with Petrofer in 2005. Of course, we continued being in this business, and 2005 is really when our journey got a little more solidified with great technology coming in from Petrofer.
Okay, excellent. And Petrofer, I believe that they are the German.
Yeah, they are our German partners. They have a financial equity stake, and they provide us the chemistry, the technology for the products that we market in India.
Okay, interesting. So, Mr. Jatia, you are certainly a successful leader, and I'm sure that many people and members of your team, employees of your organization are always looking up to you. So, if I want to ask you, is what are the three defining moments in your life which have made you such a successful leader?
So first of all, Shailendra, it's very humbling to say successful leader. So I won't argue with that, but thank you so much. And if you talk about three defining moments, then the first thing comes to my mind is during my stint in my school, where, in seventh grade, I did very well. I came first in class. So that was extremely motivating. And that sort of got me a bit excited about my future. The second defining moment was when I was at University of Southern California, USC, And in my entrepreneurship course, I got a D plus, and I was running an average of 3.8, which is like a little bit better than A minus. And that was a big shocker. So it was a humbling moment. And it got me back to the earth in many ways. And I would say the third one was when we were able to sell our powder coating business to Asian Paints.
Okay.
I think that really changed the trajectory of the business that I was running for the family, and it got us a huge amount of advantages, which I can talk about later maybe during the discussion.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So, though you are so humble to say that you are not, we can't call you successful. Everybody knows that you are quite
Well,
successful.
that's kind of you. Yeah, fair enough.
So what does leadership mean to you?
So, of course, Shailendra, over the last 25 years, my definition of leadership has really changed significantly. And I think it is a shift that you gain over time with your experience, your own learnings, and with the way you are able to sort of progress your business. So if I talk about my early days, it was sort of maybe first few years was learning, fumbling, making mistakes, and experimenting. But during that course, when you're working hard, you're moving around in the field, there's a lot of input you get, and then that sort of shapes your next sort of you can say the next level of leadership. So at that point in time, it was more about setting a good organization. We had a lot of attrition, setting the HR policies in place, still very hands-on, making decisions on a day-to-day basis, on an operational basis. So I would say that was the next stage of my leadership. Today, if we just now fast forward and we look at everything today, by the grace of God, over this whole period of time, maybe last 20 years, we are blessed with an excellent team. I would say all the team members who are reporting to me are absolutely fabulous. It would be a waste of anybody's time to try and monitor them and tell them what to do. In fact, the more I have been able to let go, the better I have seen our team performing. And I mean, I can say with maybe a little bit of embarrassment that they've done a better job at many areas which I never thought they were capable of, and that was humbling. And that was also at the same time a little bit of pride that I was able to take the step and decentralize the entire business in such a way that decision making actually is 100% now taken by the team, and a lot of decentralization we've been able to do. So yeah, so leadership today for me is you can say in a nutshell a very small amount of time spent on the business, maybe just a couple of hours every week, and of course for certain events I am available, certain presentation times, reviews, I spend a bit of time there, and most of the time I'm trying to build, think about strategies, think about areas where we could add value. But I would say 95% value add is coming from the team, and really not much at my end. And at the end of the day, we are blessed in that sense to have good people working with us.
Okay, so you talked about the decentralization, and I'm sure that last 20 months of pandemic obviously have been extremely challenging for the industry, and I'm sure you're not the exception. So how did you manage to keep your head above the water?
So actually, we can say that life throws lemons at you and you make lemonade. And we are blessed to be in a business which is really resilient, and COVID is a prime example of that. So last year in April, when there was a total lockdown. I mean, believe me, we were all sweating. I don't think I was alone. We were really sweating, and it was like more of a doomsday type of a scenario. I was calculating, if 2 years there is no business, will we be able to survive, and what is the message we need to give to the team, etc., etc. So that was the time where we stood up and uh, informed the entire team in the midst of that anxiety that this is the way we will progress And this is the strength of our company. We are resilient, we are strong on cash flow, and we have enough capital to make sure that the salaries are being taken care of in a good way. And this is the way we would sort of performance will still be top notch, and all that stuff. you know and luckily, as you know, the industry really bounced back June onwards, and it only got better and better. So again, it was a little bit of a little bit of a surprise that we thought doomsday in April, and just 2 months later, business was back. And by the grace of God, we had only 1 month of loss because there was zero business. And from May onwards, we continued to be profitable. And I think December was our most profitable month ever. So really, we didn't
Wow.
see it. We didn't see it as a tragedy, but it was more of the anxiety. Even like last month we did well, but at the beginning of the month, if somebody would ask me, I would say, I mean, we don't know. So it's been a little bit of a rocky road, but we've survived. And I think more or less, if I'm not wrong, all the people, most of the our competitors also have been able to do fairly decent during this pandemic period.
Okay. And it is, easy to say, but done. Means obviously you have faced such challenges, but when you are saying that December was probably the best month, and certainly congratulations to you and your team,
Yeah.
Achal, for that. I also understood that sometime in November 2020, you have created some platform, technology platform. Would
Yeah.
you like to just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, our my personal first passion is technology, on the information technology side. Chemistry came to me on a platter by the hard work done by my dad. So that's sort of inherited in many ways. So we solved the technology problem by getting the chemistry problem by getting Petrofer on board. And the information technology is something that we worked very hard since 2005 at least, where we implemented a very good ERP product, and then went into a great amount of detail and built a lot of information technology around it. So it was only natural that when we saw this whole pandemic coming in and the opportunity in the information technology, we wanted to put our good knowledge to use. And in November 2020, we hired a very nice gentleman who's leading this sort of digital and automation business for us. And the idea is basically to build a very nice platform going forward, which would be of use to the manufacturing businesses.
Okay, excellent. Because why I asked this question, though we are refraining from asking business related questions, particularly not on your growth plans or on your strategy. But I think this kind of question, the purpose of asking that is to help our viewers and listeners to know that what leaders, successful leaders, do things differently, and particularly in such challenging times. So clearly there is so much to get inspired and learn, which is the main purpose of conducting this
No,
kind
no,
of
of course, of course. I'm happy to answer that. I mean, see, the whole point is, as you know, just to add a little bit more for our viewers, is that about 55% of our business relates to the oil engine. And if you followed even a little bit of media, the oil engine is not going to stay here forever. Business is likely to decline. Now, there are various ways to diversify into different categories. So we've chosen the digital and automation category simply because we feel that we've done a great job internally. There's a lot of learnings, absolutely fabulous work has been done. And it would make sense to use that for commercial benefit and, of course, benefit of customers who could be, using this technology to a phenomenal advantage.
Okay, interesting. So getting into a little bit on personal side, and obviously you talked about your leadership and at work. I'm sure that you are a very, very good leader in terms of getting commitment from your people. And you talked about that. You even talked about decentralized leadership, and even your success, you are giving credit to your people. So that's one Mr. Jatia at work. If we want to know Mr. Jatia at home, what that personality would be? Would be a different personality, or would be good to know from you, Mr. Jatia?
So yeah, I mean, I think we have to mold ourselves as leaders or as parents, uh, which is suited to what the environment is, you know. And we were able to evolve Hardcastle Petrofer into a place where the leadership would be strong enough to take over. Similar philosophy but different strategy at home. So my son, he's actually a self-starter, and you know, he's a teenager now. He's 16 years of age,
Okay.
and the kind of parenting he needs doesn't allow me to be a leader. So I have taken more of a role of a supporter, simply because he's able to figure it out a lot of things on his own. And sometimes kids, you know, they face a challenge when they are told what to do, and they and somehow he's been able to figure out, maybe a little bit later, what we want him to learn, which path he wants to go, how he needs to sort of look at making a more balanced life in terms of exercise or school or having fun. And he's been able to figure it out, you know. So I think I've kept my sort of hands off, and wherever he needs support, we offer that support, and we have nice chats, which are very intimate oftentimes. And many times we argue about things, but we leave it at that. We agree to disagree. And the good news is that it gives me a lot of relaxation. He is doing well in school. He's got stuff happening for him. So, you know, then what's the point of being a leader when you don't need to be? Yeah. So it's like that. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Very interesting to know the other side, truly other side. Achal, when you talked
Yeah.
about you being a father to your son. So how old is he? You
He's
said
16 years. 16 years.
okay.
He's in 11th grade now.
Okay, fantastic. So my just next question was going to be that what are the key values, maybe 2 or 3 values, which you would have followed in your life, and you would also like your son to follow for his better life?
So I think first of all, I would say integrity.
Okay.
I think that is key, and we try to be as honest as we can with our team. Uh, uh, and I think COVID was a great example, I would say, where we set ourselves into saying what we will do and doing exactly that, rather than sort of tipsy-toe around the confrontation of this massive, I would say, disruption that we faced. I hope our employees valued that, and they saw us as standing tall in these difficult times. It was hard. It was really hard. So I hope that's appreciated. Um, the other part with integrity is a bit of transparency, I would say. Secondly is being conservative. I think we run our business. We are not the largest business in the world. We are not the smallest business in the world. We run a tight ship. We get our cash flows. It's just we hope we don't get it to our head, you know, and we stay conservative. We don't really have any lavish events or something like that. So I think that, and that sort of also reflects a bit of how I am in my personal life, you know. Uh, it's sort of inspirational from many uh, good leaders we have around us in the world. Uh, I think these two, I would say, are key for me.
Okay, okay. So since you talked about inspirational leaders, very hypothetical question. If you have got opportunity to go out for a dinner with a leader, dead or alive, who that leader could be, and why do you think so?
So I think a lot of people would choose Warren Buffett, and so would I. I think he has been a very good role model for the world and for people like us, where he's been very open about his mistakes. He's been very open about what worked for him, and I would say a bit of a selfless communication from Warren Buffett is there. Anytime you read about him or see his talks, so that's been very inspirational. The fact that in spite of having an enormous amount of wealth, it's not obscenely demonstrated to the world. Also, in terms of the benefits of compounding, and certain key motivational or directional messages that uh, uh, Warren Buffett has put out, they seem to really resonate with what I would like to follow, and sort of try our best to follow some of the learnings that I gained from him.
Okay, okay.
Even if you look at the investment style, I've really been motivated by it. It's very hard to follow him, but actually the message is very easy, but it's very hard to follow that kind of discipline. So that's also a learning actually.
Good, good. So after some serious stuff, Mr. Jatia would get into more lighter moment for this. So what are your favorite hobbies?
On hobbies, I enjoy singing. I enjoy listening to music, extensively listen to music, and I enjoy traveling. In fact, the pandemic's biggest damage has been the inability to travel. So yeah, that has been a bit of a bummer. But yeah, I could see that. In fact, I would say it would be true for most people that the longest time I have been in one city was during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you talked about singing. So who is your
Yeah.
favorite singer?
I mean, a little bit of old school music. I love Mukesh and Hemant Kumar, but the new stuff is also really good. It's really good. Arijit Singh and Bachelor and all that. I enjoy every type of.
Okay, very
Nothing,
good.
nothing very regimented as such.
Okay. And you also talked about travel. So
Yeah.
what is your most favorite place to travel as a tourist?
I spent a lot of time in Hong Kong, so I would say Hong Kong is my absolute favorite. I have very dear friends there. I'm a foodie, so
Okay.
I think I would say the best cuisine which I like is residing in Hong Kong. So yeah, I just like the city. It's really good, and since having spent a lot of time, I know my way around. So yeah.
Okay. So you talked about food. So is there any specific food you're really fond of?
Yeah, absolutely. I like in Chinese food there is a veg category, sort of like a Buddhist food. So there are a lot of a few veg restaurants, veg only Chinese restaurants. So they are very suited to the Indian palate, being spicy at the same time vegetarian. So
Okay.
then yeah, that is what I really like. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And do you watch movies?
Movies not so much, but mainly TV serials, sitcoms, and all that. Yeah.
Okay. And do you read any books?
Books, very few books actually, but the last one I read was very good. It was about psychology of money. It's very popular, highly recommended,
Okay.
and sort of brought sharp focus to what a little bit of my own philosophies. It was able to sort of put that in a very nice and organized way, which is and uh, some of the paragraphs and some of the sentences that he has used are comical at the same time, very bullseye.
Wow. So
So,
you said psychology of money.
psychology of money. Psychology of money.
Very good. Because I'm sure our viewers and listeners would definitely like to take note of that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. That's really good. Now coming to our last question, Mr. Jatia, and I think it is very important for our particularly new generation viewers and listeners, is and those who are aspiring to get into their own, particularly the startups, what message would you like to give to them?
Well, I think the most important thing I feel is hard work, and sort of like a marathon type of a hard work that you have to continuously keep on running, look at the long term picture, and don't get exhausted by sprinting in the early days. If you put in bit by bit hard work every day, results will ultimately come. Uh, I think it's also a little bit of following your passion, at the same time making sure that the passion you follow is creating value. It's no use following a passion where you will not be able to live your livelihood, you know, and I think humility is critical. Early successes go to head of many youngsters, and then that a few years later brings results which may not be so palatable. So I think keeping sight that a lot of it is our hard work, a lot of it is the good hand of God, and about a lot of it is also people around us who has sort of pushed us to this success. If you keep that in mind, then it would stop you from escalating into a tailspin. So I think these few things.
Well said, Mr. Jatia. So I must say that I enjoyed the conversation with you so much, and it was so enriching. I'm sure our viewers and listeners are going to find this as inspiring as I have found. So thanks a lot for giving your valuable time. I know how busy you are. So thanks a lot once again. And I also,
Pleasure, absolute pleasure, Shailendra, and it's nice of you to include me in this podcast. And I hope some value was added, something people would take away from this, which would enhance their journey.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure that there are so many key takeaways from this conversation. And also we believe that this has some historical or heritage value, because while listening to leaders, they come to know about your other side, I would say, and draw some good inspirations. It also reflects the journey of the industry. It has definitely a heritage value, and people also would know better about that business leader. We otherwise will know more about your business mind, your strategy. But here, the whole idea of knowing your other side was to know better you as a person, as a parent, and as a leader overall. So thanks a lot once again.
My pleasure entirely, Shailendra. My pleasure entirely. Thank you so much.